Hi, this is Joel Toppin here, and I've been working with Mike Berticelli on his new game, Wolfpack. You may have seen some of my posts on Twitter and Facebook, giving just little snapshots of the game, but I thought what I'd do in this video is show you how an attack is carried out. So what we're doing is we're infiltrating a small, slow Allied convoy during the early war. It's December 1939, I believe. And yeah, early phase of the war. It's daylight but poor weather, and submarine X-ray here is a Type 7. The forward, or the bow of the counter is pointing in this direction, and the stern is pointing in this direction. So he's basically fired his stern torpedo, which is an electric torpedo, and we fired it at a medium-sized 7,000-ton, 3 Victory Point cargo ship. At the beginning of the torpedo phase, we reduced the movement value of all the torpedoes, so this one reached 0. It doesn't have a numeric counter associated with it anymore, indicating it has now reached its target. A torpedo over here fired by U-boat Z still has a 1 rating, so it's going to take one more turn. Next turn, when the torpedo values get reduced, it'll go to 0, and that one will launch or carry out its attack on another medium-sized merchantman, 6,000 tons. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to execute this attack here from U-boat X-ray. Again, it's electric torpedo. We have a tactical data computer rating of +1, and if I open up the U-boat window here, you can see torpedo tube 1. This is the empty tube, and you can see it's got a +1 rating on it. So let's go ahead and just put that marker over here. Mike likes to have this laid out in a certain way, and so we're going to go ahead and do that. On the main map, if I just do a Control X on the target counter, it'll say mark that convoy ship as being under attack. I can do the same thing with the torpedo, and it sends the torpedo to this display. I hit torpedo resolution, and it draws 3 cards. It draws a 2-hit number card, and then we can seal the rest of it because all we need is the top part of the card. On top of that, we draw 2 torpedoes angle cards. One shows you the ship size modifier, and that's this half of the card. It's this half of the card here. The card's basically upside down, and another card is placed on top of it. So you're basically using 2 cards from the same deck to achieve this situation. We're only going to look at the values on the left side of this, and then we're going to take our torpedo, and we fired it at a very good angle out of the stern, and so we get a +3 to our TDC rating of +1. Notice that the little miniaturized TDC +1 associated with the torpedo, that's just a matter of convenience. If you didn't want to have to actually move the marker over, you could just get by with this. I just find that having this marker on the map was a little clunky and vassal, and so I was able to smooth that out by associating that value with the torpedo marker. So we're firing a medium-sized ship, so there's a modifier of 0 for ship size, 3 for angle, 4 for the TDC. So our total is a +4. We're now going to look at the 2-hit. We're firing in a slow convoy in poor weather. So this would be good weather right here. That's a 7. Poor weather would be an 8. If it was a fast convoy, there would be no difference on this particular 2-hit card. So we need a modified 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out so we can see the main map a little bit easier. And then I'm going to draw a couple cards using the toolbar buttons. We're going to draw battle cards to make our die rolls. And so we first draw 1, and it's a 6. That's going to be enough. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's going to be more than enough to score the prerequisite 8. So we score a hit on the target. Now comes the chancy part. These electric torpedoes have a tendency to be duds. The advantage to firing the electric torpedo, though, is I didn't give my location away with all the bubbles on the surface. Daylight, that becomes something of an issue. And we know that we have a Hunt-class destroyer escort looking for us. So there is one around in the neighborhood. So what we're going to go ahead and do is pull up a damage card here. And we're going to check the echo. That's a dud. Now, I've got lots of tactical points, so I'm going to go ahead and spin a tactical point. and that allows me to redraw. So I have 4 tactical points associated, and I use my experience to purchase these before the battle begins. And this time we do get a hit. So we draw now to see if we sink it, and we check now for the ship damage in the middle valve. Let me back up. Maybe you didn't see it. Let me zoom in so you can see this really good. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm moving really quickly here. Okay, let me zoom in really good and then zoom down so you can see what we've done. All right, our first check, we look at the G7E for Echo Electric, and this is early war too. If it was late war, then we use this column. So early war, we're going to use the left column. We're looking at the electric, and there's an X, which means it's a dud. If it was a check mark, we'd be good. We spent a tactical point, redrew that, and this time it is good. Okay, and then we're going to draw another card to find out what the explosion does to the ship. So we're going to check just the ship damage, and we look at the medium ship, and S means it is kaboom, gone. It is sunk. So that is the outcome of that attack. That's how easy it is to execute attacks here in Wolfpack. And it's important that that goes by pretty quickly, because you'll end up at one point on my last convoy, I think I had like 8 torpedoes in the water at one point. And so that's a number of those to resolve. And in Vassal, we've made this pretty easy to take care of. So now what I'm going to do is just hit the cleanup button here, the little broom, and that'll take care of all the cards, markers. It reshuffles everything. We're going to go ahead and take and delete that marker, put a sunk marker on the target, drag the target over to our U-boat window, and what this does is basically this is where we keep track of how many tons we've sunk. At the end of the patrol, the tonnage is what's going to be important for U-boat X-ray, assuming that U-boat survives the patrol. We will go ahead and add 3 VPs to the info track here. You got to have 24 points to win against a convoy to win out that mission, and I believe you need 2 out of 3 wins to win a war period. So we won the first war period, so all of this is gravy. I'm trying not to take too many risks against this particular patrol, especially with the hunt class looking for me. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this particular convoy ship to generate an escort request. So basically the ship is sinking, they're calling for an escort, and we put the marker here. And the reason we do that is there's an escort that hunt class could come over here, or potentially something else could pop up and be looking in this quadrant, this little square quadrant. We've got to find a way to better represent this artistically, but basically this whole area here constitutes a quadrant, with the rightmost and the bottommost axes of that quadrant being part of the adjoining quadrant. So if we put this marker here, we'd have to decide if it's a part of this quadrant or a part of its neighboring quadrant. The point is, each quadrant can only have 1 escort request. It'll stick around for 4 turns. If it hasn't gotten an escort by 4 turns, it goes away. And there we go. That is how a torpedo attack is carried out in Wolfpack.